Welcome back, everybody. This is Module 2 of Business Math. And in this section of the course, in this module, we're going to start building on that foundational math that we went over and reviewed in Module 1. And we're going to start using those skills and apply them to real-world business situations, okay? That is, remember the point of this course. It is a math class, but it is also about how these mathematical concepts sort of apply in the business world. So those concepts are very sort of important to understand because I want to be sure that you see the technical relevance, that you're not just learning some math theory, that you're learning things that you can take into an office and use in the business world. Okay, and the first thing we're going to cover in this module is percents, focusing how to understand, convert, and work with them, because to work with the percent in a mathematical equation, you have to convert it to a decimal, which is very simple to do, but we're going to look at that. You're going to learn how to move between fractions, decimals, and percents, all of the things that we've learned so far. And you're going to learn how to use the percentage formula to solve business-related problems. Calculating discounts, markups, commissions, that kind of thing, because we're going to be looking at more and more of that as we move through this course. We're also going to look at, in the second chapter of this module, equations and expressions. You're going to learn some of the key concepts, terminologies, and rules of how equations work. You're going to practice writing some expressions and equations from written statements. You're going to learn some of the trigger words that let you know what sort of mathematical equation you need to use to solve certain equations. This course is going to involve some very, very, very basic algebra. Nothing complicated. Don't panic. It's very simple, and we're going to review everything as we go along, okay? We're going to use those equations to solve some business-related word problems, okay? Simple ones, I know, hang in there. We're going to get through this together. It's going to help you apply math to situations like cost analysis, revenue, and planning. You need to understand all of these concepts so that if you're out in the business world, you know how to apply these mathematical concepts. We're going to learn a little about ratios and proportions, because that's used a lot in business for comparing values and scaling quantities and analyzing relationships between numbers. And then the very final section of this module, we're going to shift to a very practical financial skill, and we're going to learn about checking accounts. And we're going to learn how to write a check, because I realized that the world has largely moved away from that. And I had sort of a funny moment where it hit me very closely. My 24-year-old son has a landlord who's quite a bit older, I guess. He had moved into a new apartment, and he said, "Mommy wants me to write a check." And I said, "Well, write him a check." And he said, "I don't know how to do that." And I was like, what do you mean you don't know how to write a check? And he said, "I have never in my life written a check." And then I realized that I am 112 years old. And that is a skill that is going away because we've all gone to swiping our cards. But in business, a lot of interaction still occurs by check. Here at Panola, we have a wonderful woman who works here, and she prints out a bajillion checks a week because they're mailed off to pay all of the bills. So you do need to know what a check looks like. You need to know how to fill one out. You need to know how to reconcile a bank statement, even though I know that I personally have gone to what it says on my online app. We need to know how all these things work. And if you're in my age bracket, this is going to be old hat. If you're a younger person like my son, you may be also sitting there thinking, "I have also never written a check." That's okay. It's really simple. We're going to cover that together, okay? And then again, you're going to see throughout this module, all the modules work the same. You're going to see those practice quizzes hit after what would be a chapter in the textbook were it not all pulled online for you. You're going to have those practice quizzes that you can do over and over till you learn what you're doing. You're going to see some of those practice worksheets that you can go further if you feel like you need more practice. And then you're again going to have your module assessment that requires lockdown browser. We'll have the calculator embedded into the Canvas part of it for you. You can use some formula notes, that sort of thing. It's going to work the same thing with every module. You're not going to have any surprise assignments, I promise. You're going to have the material to learn, the practice quizzes to complete, and the assessments that are going to be the major part of your grade. Okay, as always, if you have any issues with any of the information in the module, if you need any help, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Good luck with everything in this module, and I will see you in Module 3.